No, that's literally how I found you, was like on YouTube.
Cool.
So
That's great.
We're done.
You ready?
We're live.
All right, you guys, I'm excited. We're in our second day here in Manhattan, and remember, I did my training here. I went to Mount Sinai for 6 years. I did a fellowship here, so I feel very lucky to be back here doing this sculpting that 12 years ago I started here in Manhattan. So I have a good-looking young guy. He's here for just enhancement. We call this male facial sculpting. Some people, I say this is just a subliminal change. What we're going to do is just enhance certain facial features. Come on in, let me show everybody. So if we look at his face, so you can relax. He's got a high cheekbone, nice 90-degree angle, a wider chin. Everything works in proportion here. We just want to make it look a little bit more sculpted, a little more manly. A little bump on the nose that we can highlight, and he's got great lips, so let's just make the lips look better. One of the things I like to do, and not use a ton of the product, but for somebody that's already a little sculpted, we just do a little bit of the product. Here we're going to use Radiesse, which will build more long-term collagen production for him and last a while, because I'm not going to see him as much because he's coming in from Boston. But here at the 90-degree angle of the jawline, we're just going to give a little bit of the product. And by doing this, it's just going to create that really accentuated look. Yeah, just give me the other half. And some people do this differently. You can do it in threads. You can do it with a cannula. I just find guys rarely bruise here. They'll bleed and get a little swollen, but they won't often bruise. Get the music off. Maybe tell them. They'll bleed and rarely, and bruise maybe, but really it doesn't do that much. So I just like doing these micro droplets, just a little bit, don't go too far, to give them a nice enhancement, and always coming back at that 90-degree angle. And it always looks a little bit bigger at first, and then it settles in. How's the pain? Are you okay?
Oh yeah, it's totally fine.
Great. So this is great because we're going to show one side. Hold this real quick. I'm going to show the other. Hold on. So we just do a little softening. Usually I tell people after a couple days you might feel a little bit here, but it's not too bad. Hold on. Hold that here. Oh, actually, I'll do it. I'm going to show. Look straight ahead so they can see. I'm going to come from the front. Come, turn. So want to see? Yeah, it's great. So you can see a little accentuation now at the 90-degree. Bite down a second. You can see when he bites, that area comes out. You notice the difference there? Very good. So see, we'll come over. Let's go to the other side. Okay, look up and to your right a little bit. Great. Same thing. Follow that 90-degree angle of the mandible. The key, you guys, a lot of people nowadays are doing fillers. But fillers need not only understanding of anatomy, but artistry too. So the key is to really go to somebody you trust who understands your facial shape. Sometimes I get criticism online, people saying, oh, I don't really notice a difference. That's the point. The point is not to look overdone. The point is to actually look enhanced and look really good, or slow down the aging process. So that's what we're doing here. Does somebody who's in their 20s really need to have filler? No. But if he wants to have a nice, contour, enhancement of his features, to look proportionate, really give that overall facial sculpting look, the defined look, this is what we're gonna do. And it's something you could do. You do this once, and you can do this in a year. Do it small bits just to stay looking good. We're doing that same thing here. Like I said, typically there's a little bit of bleeding, but within a day or two, great. Okay. So let's take that whole down. Give me another go. Thank you. Always, for some reason, always one side tends to get a little bit more swollen than the other. It's usually this side the person chews on, but who knows? Never really know for sure. Let's take a look from the front. That's great. Bite down. Awesome. So you see at both angles he's got some width. Now, perfect. Now what we usually do, just slightly, you don't want to overdo it, is give him a little bit of lifting through the cheek area. Now this can feminize someone, so we're using very small amounts. And using Radiesse, that's a calcium-based product, to get more of a structured look, which is why we're doing that. can see he bleeds very easily, so he's gonna get a little bit of swelling. So we're just gonna do a small amount. Following right at the top of the cheekbone. He's very thin, so you don't wanna overdo it. Also gonna do one poke up in the temple area, which I told him before. This is gonna balance out what we've done in the cheek. Perfect. Great, okay. I'm gonna do one. Blue gauze. Thank you. I have him hold right there lightly for me. Just like here, like this. Perfect. We'll go to the other side, do that same thing. Nope, the same one. Give you guys this, keep the same one every time so that I know. Okay, so we're gonna do that same balancing, following the cheekbone, a little dab to the temple. With men, you always want to be more superior and more medial, and you see how I'm just doing a very little at each spot because he's very thin between the bone, because he's already very defined. We don't want to go very far with doing this for him because you don't want to overdo it. And again, I'm gonna do a little dab into the temple, just a very small amount because this will blend everything. Guys that work out, they lose a little bit of volume here, and this helps make the cheek actually look more defined and lifted, interestingly. Great. Let me look it from the front. Hold on. Go to the chin. Okay, put your hand down for a sec. Be straight. Oh yeah, it's gonna be really good. Smell? Great. Okay, cool. So now we have some definition laterally, we have some definition here. He already has a wider jaw. Let's just make it look really bold. That's the key. So we're gonna go right on the bone and just give him a little enhancement, projecting slightly. Good. Now with his type of chin, since it's very square, we're just gonna go right across as if we were putting in an implant. And doing a little bit just to enhance it. This is gonna look really defined actually, because he already has a squared off look. It's gonna look even more. Great. Last one. How you feeling? You okay?
Oh yeah. I'm okay.
It's not bad. I always tell people with Radiesse specifically, people will tend to swell a little bit more, so at the beginning it may look a little more noticeable. Some people love that actually, some people don't. So we're widening the chin just a little bit. And then we're also going to give support to the upper cutaneous chin, which is really important. Some people call this the lower cutaneous lip, because that will define out. Now I'm going to make it straight at the bottom because we projected it forward. Great, hold on. Just give me a little alcohol. Keep it clean. I'm gonna balance it. Perfect. Just want to clean everything. Now for him, we want to be very precise and even in projection. You see how we're building three-dimensionally. Wow, that's That's very good. Okay, so let me show him at least right now. Take a look. Let me wipe him down. Hold this one sec. Let me show you what we've done. So obviously it's a little swollen now, but look 90 degrees. It's really important. Hold this up a little bit. Look straight. So a little definition through here, nothing overdone. Now look at the chin. It's a little wider and a little more projected. See here? And then a little bit more of a defined angle in the 90 degrees. So bite down so you can see that projection out. And then you can see here now is if you take a line and you draw it from your nose to your lip to your chin, it's more pronounced, but it's also filled in here so you have more of a bold look.
Yeah.
You know? It's gonna blend in perfectly. It's gonna take about 2 weeks. It's gonna look great. And then sometimes we'll do little touch-ups or tweaks here or there. Some people want to build. I think for him, given how chiseled and lean he is, this is probably gonna be the volume we need. And then we work on texture and some other things. But overall facial shaping, it's gonna be great. Just a little swollen. That's awesome. All right, thanks guys. That was good. All right, let's do lip.
Love it.